Well, welcome to Thursday, July 24th. This is Oklahoma Memo, and my name is Ryan Welton, the founder and curator of Oklahoma Memo. Oklahoma Memo is a daily newsletter. It goes out at 7 a.m. each weekday morning, Monday through Friday, and it's designed to get you caught up on the news quickly. I don't do a lot of first person reporting, I do a lot of amplifying of other newsrooms. I worked in Oklahoma newsrooms for the past 20 years, really 30 if you count my early days at OU Daily and Hugo Daily News. And I've been at local TV news for the past 20. And I've done a little bit of work in corporate comms, and I've started my own business recently. So this is the first time I've done a YouTube live with the day's news. And I hope to do it more often. But the goal is to raise media literacy. The goal is to connect you to vetted journalism. I'm familiar with the newsrooms all across the state. I like to say from Altus to Miami, from Guyman to Idabel, or today I might say from Boise City to Broken Bow, from Hollis to Henrietta. I go to every news website every day. I look through the stories and I pick the ones that are most important, most compelling, and I put it together in an easy to digest, Axios like newsletter. You can get in and out just like that, and you'll be the smartest person in the room, at least as it pertains to Oklahoma news. I often start these newsletters with a little bit of perspective, a column, if you will. I wrote about Ozzy Osbourne 2 days ago, for example, and Malcolm Jamal Warner before that. No word if I'll actually write about Hulk Hogan or Chuck Mangione tomorrow, but there's a possibility. It's feeling like 2016 all over again in terms of celebrity deaths. They're happening a lot. So what I do is that I just basically start talking about whatever was in the perspective part of the newsletter. And so I'll start right there. From this morning's newsletter, if you got it, thank you. We're up to almost 350 subscribers. You can go to oklahomamemo.com and sign up. It's the only email I'll send you every day. There's no spam. It's just one email. It's a newsletter. And I talked a lot about, there was a story in the Oklahoman yesterday. Did you see the report that the Oklahoman has been writing about? The one that had Oklahoma City and Tulsa atop the list for the most boring cities in the United States. The full list was from a site called Finance Buzz, and a lot of these are click farms, but they are based on data. There are people who get together and they make calculations about different things, and Finance Buzz decided that the most boring city in the country was Jacksonville, Florida. And I immediately thought, Jacksonville's got a beach. Can't be too boring. So here are some of the criteria that they looked at to see who would be picked as the most boring city. They looked at demographics. If you had a whole bunch of residents above 65, boring. They looked to see if you had young adults 20 to 34. That would be not boring. And international visitors per capita. I don't know how many international visitors Oklahoma City or Tulsa gets. Attractions, sports teams. Well, can't really knock Oklahoma for that. We have the NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. But they also had arcades, again, geared toward young people, amusement centers, same, and highly rated tourist spots per capita. Nightlife and events, number of nightclubs, not interested. Concert venues, could be better, going to be better with this new arena in downtown Oklahoma City. And festivals per capita. Again, that's a young person's game, although Oklahoma does have Rocklahoma. All right. Also, Oklahoma has that bluegrass festival in Okemah, which I low-key have always wanted to go to. The food scene. Presence of top-rated Yelp spots, Michelin and James Beard restaurants per capita, and percentage of chain restaurants. I think Oklahoma is super underrated when it comes to the food scene. We have 2 James Beard Award winners at least in the past 5 years. In 2022, Florence Kemp won for her spot out in Midwest City, I believe. I actually had lunch there with my buddy Scott Mitchell one time. And then Andrew Black, who has several restaurants in Oklahoma City. He's a James Beard Award winner from 2023. Plus, I mean, if you've been to Mar de Lao, I said that terribly, but the Laotian restaurant in Oklahoma City, that's fantastic. So I don't know. And then outdoors, access to parks, favorable climate, hiking trails per capita, and walkability. So I say, who did they ask exactly? Only young people? I would agree that a thriving populace between 20 and 34 signifies upward mobility and a city on the rise. Fair. So I get it. Oklahoma City and Tulsa aren't New York City, LA, or Vegas. But the weather, nothing boring about the weather here in Oklahoma. I worked with Rick Mitchell and Damon Lane and David Payne for many years. And those guys aren't boring, especially David Payne. No sarcasm. He's awesome, man. He is Mr. Rock and Roll when it comes to weather in this state. Fire up, as he would say. But I guess it just comes down to priorities. And at the age of 54, I don't mind boring. And as I said, when I saw that Jacksonville was on the list, they have beaches. You're never going to go wrong with beaches. Never, ever, ever boring. All right. Big story of the day. Everybody reported on it, but I picked the non-doc version. If you're not familiar with non-doc, nondoc.com, nondoc.com, one of the more thorough newsrooms in the state, probably the most thorough. Anytime they report on a topic, they go granular, man. You're going to get 25, 30 column inches. That's an old newspaper term. But the headline, Muscogee High Court rules 1866 treaty requires freedmen citizenship, strikes by blood language. So freedmen citizens of any tribe are people of African descent who were slaves owned by citizens of the tribe way back when, pre-Civil War. And then there was a treaty in 1866 that said, okay, freedmen, you get citizenship rights to this tribe. And then in 1979, at least in Muscogee Nation, and when I say Muscogee, I don't mean Muskogee, Oklahoma, as in Okie from Muskogee. I mean Muscogee, Muscogee, as in Creek Nation. But in 1979, that citizenship was written out of a new constitution. A Muskogee Nation judge, Supreme Court judge, overruled that and said that the 1866 treaty does give the freedmen citizenship. It was a big day. A friend of mine on Facebook wrote, "Denied no more." So that was the big story yesterday. Now, in the newsletter, I'll only republish things from newsrooms that allow for republication. I play by the rules. I am here to support and cheerlead for good journalism. So the top story I have here is from Elizabeth Caldwell at Oklahoma Watch. The headline is Missing Murdered Native American Cases Delayed as Police Struggle to Work Together. Now, another Indigenous affairs story, this one, the impact of the McGirt landmark case of 2020 being felt in the field of criminal justice. Now, Elizabeth writes about Brandon Hummel here, but essentially the gist of the story is that since 2020, since the decision, the legal landscape of the state has been altered greatly. Quote, finding much of the eastern portion of the state to be reservation land. As a result, criminal cases that the state would have previously handled are now scheduled for tribal or federal courts. It's just caused snafu. And it's highly unfair to families who have suffered a tragedy because they're not able to get justice quickly. There's a quote in here from somebody. They say, I think this law that they passed is ridiculous. They just want to shove everything over to the Bureau of Indian Affairs or the Lighthouse, a police force. If they're Indian, they want nothing to do with it. So that's a story that you ought to go look at oklahomawatch.org. The other big story is, and I'm a boomer sooner from the University of Oklahoma, former president of the Gaylord College Alumni Association. So I have some ties into the journalism school there. This is from Gaylord News. Fantastic newsroom run by John Schmelzer and Mike Betcher. Headline, Representative Cole, balancing local promises, Trump cuts in NOAA budget fight. So this one here, written by Kylie Caldwell. Thanks to everybody for joining. This is a live video. I'm essentially recording a podcast live right here on YouTube. So the gist of this story is that Tom Cole has long said he will fight for federal dollars to still go to things that support the National Weather Center. the National Severe Storms Laboratory, but he's also having to balance the platform that President Trump ran on, promising federal spending cuts. The lead, despite recommending, despite recommending the restoration of nearly $1.3 billion in previously threatened funds, a spending plan prepared by a House Appropriations Subcommittee would still cut $380 million from the budget of NOAA, jeopardizing key weather and climate programs, even as it backed away from deeper reductions sought by the Trump administration. Now, that's not going to make Representative Cole happy, and it's not going to make the people of Oklahoma happy. I will tell you, the impact of not having proper weather coverage from properly certified meteorologists, it's a big deal. And I think we've actually seen the impact of it already earlier this year with the Central Texas floods. Say what you will, they weren't fully staffed. There were people in the room there covering the event, but that office was not fully staffed. It's an important distinction, because I could have a restaurant that has people coming in and out all day and only 2 employees. And if we always have 2 employees there, we're able to cook the food and get it out, but we're also working 24 hours. That's not a fully staffed operation. So understand that. Those are the 2 big stories. And then I have a section in the newsletter called the Oklahoma Rundown. And this is a hand-curated list. I will tell you, there is a little bit of AI in this newsletter. And here's where I use AI, and I'm very transparent about this. Once I create this list of stories that I gather from newspapers all across the state, I use AI to rank it. I say, AI, ChatGPT, rank these from most important to least important. And that way it takes my bias out of the matter. Usually I have 25 to 30 links. I start the process by looking at the ones that have a republication agreement that I can sort of borrow from. We're talking Oklahoma Voice, Oklahoma Watch, KGOU, KOSU, KWGS, KCCU, our NPR stations. You have, who else? Oh, The Frontier at readfrontier.org. And I mentioned Oklahoma Watch, but there are other publications like Oklahoma Free Press and Tulsa World that I don't want to take too much liberty with their content. They've been very kind to me, but I also don't want to take advantage. But I go through all of those, and then I go through all of the Tulsa stations and newspapers, and then I start going through the tribal newspapers. Did you know we have great tribal journalism in this state? We're talking Osage News has a website. We're talking Cherokee Phoenix. I've been told, and I haven't been able to verify this on my own, that the Cherokee Phoenix is actually the most subscribed to news publication in the state, full stop. And then you have Muscogee Media, and I'm pretty familiar with Muscogee Media. I grew up in Okmulgee and Muscogee, the city, but Okmulgee is the capital of Creek Nation. And I'm familiar with Muscogee Media, spelled MVSKOKE Media, and they do a great job, as do other tribes. So I go through those websites, and then I go through all the CNHI news websites. We're talking Tahlequah Daily Press, Muscogee Daily Phoenix, McAllister News Capital, and then I work down to Ada, South Central Oklahoma, K10, KXII, Ada News, far southeastern Oklahoma, McGirt County Gazette, Hugo Daily News. I take it to southern Oklahoma, Ardmorite, Durant Democrat, Duncan Banner, Purcell Register, Pauls Valley has a newspaper, Clinton has a newspaper. I take it to southwestern Oklahoma. We're talking Altus Times, say that right. KSWO in Lawton. We're talking SWOK News. That's the Lawton Constitution. Elk City has a paper. Actually, the Reed newspapers, there are a lot of newspapers out in western Oklahoma, but they don't really have stories on their site. They just point you to newspapers where like it was a print thing. I wish they would change that. Woodward, Enid, they have newspapers. Guyman has a newspaper. K County and Ponca City, they have a news publication, and I check that out, as does Guthrie, as does Luther. My friend Don Shelton has a great newspaper there. And then I go to Oklahoma City. We're talking Oklahoman, KOCO, Fox 25, K4, News 9. As I noted before, I've worked at both KOCO and Griffin Media, News 9 and News on 6 over the years. So I'm pretty familiar with newsrooms in both Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And then I gather these links. Is it important to you? Is it useful to you? And then I throw in some, is this compelling? Is it interesting? So here are a few of the stories that I included from Wednesday in Thursday's newsletter. Ryan Walters, state superintendent, he asks Oklahoma Supreme Court to lift the lawsuit stay to purchase classroom Bibles. He really wants the Lee Greenwood Bibles to be in classrooms this fall. From Nondoc, Richard Glossip, he had been on death row, former death row inmate, denied bond now as he awaits new trial. And I saw a tweet from Attorney General Gentner Drummond celebrating that this morning. From News 9, Supreme Court upholds Langford's terrorism victims law in unanimous ruling. From Tulsa Public Radio, that's KWGS, Tulsa County holds first resentencing hearing under Oklahoma Survivors Act. From Oklahoma Voice, Oklahoma student proficiency expected to drop this year. By the way, don't know if you had seen this, but it will be in tomorrow's Oklahoma Memo, but Wallet Hub, they ranked school systems across the state, and Oklahoma came in 50th. Would you like to guess who came in 51st? There were 51 spots there because they included DC. 51st was not DC, and I think 51 will surprise you. So if you want to put it in chat or just put it as a comment, that would be, I would just love to see what you think it is. And, don't look it up. Let's play fair here. Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell, who I don't think has announced any ambition to run for governor quite yet, he hopes that Route 66 and their centennial celebration in 2026 is a bridge for fearful international travelers in time of Trump. One of the criteria, as I noted in the Finance Buzz article that ranked Oklahoma City and Tulsa as being boring, was the number of international travelers coming into Oklahoma. So he's hoping that Route 66 and that celebration will bring more international travelers to the state. That story from KWGS and Tulsa Public Radio. Tulsa World with the story, Tulsa police confirm investigation into former East Central High School teaching assistant. Tulsa World with an update on an Owasso murder-suicide from the other day, police saying that the shooter killed the woman and then himself. K4 with another crime story, targeted robbery leads to death of Canadian citizen at Pottawatomie County marijuana grow. That happens a lot in Oklahoma. That happens actually quite a bit. I try not to have too many crime stories. One of the issues we talked about in the newsroom at Griffin, especially post George Floyd, was how much crime are we covering? Are we over covering crime? So I try not to have too much crime in here. There was a lot of crime in this morning's, though, including this one from the very first newspaper I ever worked for, Hugo Daily News. Former Senator, Hugo City Manager, arrested by Hugo Police. That was Jeff Rabon. Ethan Holiday, baseball player. We had 2 baseball players go in the first round from Oklahoma. I say actually we had 3 if you include Kyson Witherspoon from OU, but you had Willits from Fort Cobb went number 1 to the Nationals, and then Ethan Holiday went to the Rockies at number 4, and Ethan got an even bigger signing bonus than Willits did at number 1. An interesting story from News on 6. Why are the catfish wearing green tags in Grand Lake? That's interesting. Bartlesville business owner paying tribute to Ozzy Osbourne following his death. That's from Fox 23. I don't want to give all the articles away. I will talk about this last one here from KOCO. I thought it was more interesting. The AI ranked it as the least interesting, least important, but I'll tell you why I think this is interesting. OKC's boardwalk at Bricktown set to break ground soon. Whenever the new arena is built, they'll tear down Paycom Center and build this new arena. There's going to be an entertainment district that is built all around it. It's going to be big. If you've been to the Texas Rangers Stadium in Arlington, Globe Life Field, you'll know there's a big entertainment district there. Texas Live. It's awesome. There's going to be that around the new arena for the Thunder. But away from there, I don't know how far, but it's in the Bricktown area. It's going to be this boardwalk at Bricktown. And it's going to be several big buildings, not quite skyscrapers, but they'll be substantial. But in the middle of it is going to be the big tower you've been hearing about, the one that's going to be 1,907 feet tall, making it the tallest building in North America, bigger than the Empire State Building, bigger than the World Trade Center or what's there at Ground Zero, bigger than Sears Tower or whatever it's called now, bigger than the CN Tower in Toronto. 1,907 feet. You know where they got that? They got that because the state, Oklahoma, was ratified as a state in 1907. Excuse me. The big problem, though, right now, the only thing, funding is not a problem for it. It's been funded. What is standing in the way right now is an FAA study into air traffic in the area. Not just Will Rogers, not just Wiley Post, but Max Westheimer. Can planes get in and out of there safely with that building at almost 2,000 feet tall? So interesting times ahead, especially they're hoping the people who are developing this property want that building to be ready in time for the Olympics here in Oklahoma City. Yes, the Olympic, you heard that right. The Olympics here in Oklahoma City in 2028. All righty. This is an experiment. If you have enjoyed this live stream or you watch it on a replay, please please follow the channel. Show me some indication that you like this. This will be the worst live stream that I ever do. Everyone will get better from here. So I really appreciate you watching, or even if you just watch for a couple of seconds, I appreciate that. And remember, the goal is to help our neighbors become better informed citizens. That improves the quality of life in the state. It just, you know where we are in this country. We've got to get it together in terms of making sure that we fight misinformation. For Oklahoma Memo, my name is Ryan Welton. We'll talk to you tomorrow.